We've been doing these calls with New Paltz business owners as a check-in for neighbors, just to do this while we're all managing the pandemic, but also the idea is for business owners to compare notes and share good ideas. So each time we've done it, we've tried to identify one individual to focus on, and today we're going to chat with Mike Beck Jr. He's going to tell us a little bit about what's been going on at P&G's, and I'll have a few questions for him, and then we'll open it up, to the folks who are participating via this Zoom call. And then our plan is to always keep these calls limited to a maximum of 30 minutes. And that's it. So I'll let Mike go ahead and start with the introduction.
Yeah, well, thanks, Tim. Obviously, I think this is a great idea, a platform to just bounce ideas as much as kind of see what else is going on out there. A little bit of background, myself and my sister, Kristen, bought P&G's from my father on February 1st. So a couple months in now, it's been an interesting couple months to say the least. My dad is still around. He still owns the building. He's, still a part of the P&G's, team. It's not like he's, passed it off to us and ran away. So he's been obviously a great help and kind of shoulder to lean on. Obviously he's never gone really through anything like this, either. And so it's just been kind of a, learning by fire experience for sure. And, just trying to navigate, through it and, see where we come out on the other side.
Good stuff. You want me to jump in with a couple of questions?
Go ahead.
Going. Okay. So I'm curious whether P&G's was able to complete the application for the Paycheck Protection Program. You want to tell us a little bit about?
Yeah. We did apply for it. I applied for it within, I'm going to guess, the first 15 minutes of it being live. I was kind of on it and monitoring it. And I was actually on the phone with my small business liaison with We Bank with Chase as the application went live. I did not get approved. We did not get the funding for the initial round. And they kind of prefaced that by saying, they had 60,000 applications through Chase Bank in the first 5 minutes. So I think anyone that went through either a smaller or more local bank had, probably a better shot or a quicker shot. I have a friend that works with a local bank who said they had a 96% success rate for everyone that applied. But they were doing, less than a couple hundred loans. So I applied. I would assume that potentially with this new round of funding that's possibly getting passed today, we may have a shot at it, but I still am not totally sure if I'm going to use it. Through the advice of our accountant and, talking with the bank and other people, it was recommended, hey, apply for it, see if you get it. If you get it, then we'll know more about it. Early on, there was it was so unclear really what that loan was going to do and how exactly to use it. So I created spreadsheets and all this stuff to kind of break down, okay, if I were to get this loan, at what amount, where would my levels have to be in order to, receive the forgiveness from the loan? Because it wasn't necessarily that I needed the loan, to survive. If I was going that route, I might have went towards, I think it was an EIDL loan or another small business loan, but it was more that if I could keep people on the payroll, maybe get a piece of utilities and rent and things like that forgiven, then it may be an ideal situation. So I'm still kind of in a hold on that. If I do happen to get final approval and funding, I would still, I'm still not 100% saying, okay, boom, I would fire with it, because there are a lot of questions. And even people that, I've talked to that have gotten a loan are still confused. They're afraid of, okay, am I going to dump all this money into payroll and operate, my business at kind of a loss and then have it not be forgiven, then what did I really do, with that? So I think understanding that the forgiveness side to that loan is so important for anyone that gets it and is going to use it.
Got it. Okay. You want to tell us a little bit about staffing before the pandemic and during the pandemic?
Yeah. So we operate between 50 and 60 employees. I would say probably half of those are considered full-time, prior to the pandemic. When, this all kind of hit, we went down to bare bones. We went down to myself, my sister, and Tommy I, who's our head chef here, who I can't say enough about how incredible he's been, through this whole thing. It was St. Patrick's Day. We had just gotten our order in on Monday for a whole week of food. And it was like, all right, what are we going to do? And it started with, me and my sister picking up the phone, taking takeout orders, and Tommy in the kitchen. And, by 1 o'clock, we had called 2 other cooks to come in and give him a hand. And, we ended up getting another person to help answer the phones. And, so this whole thing has kind of been almost a daily adaptation, every day, whether it's been new policies or new, orders coming down, from government, or whether it's been, new information out about, the virus and all that, is every day we've kind of had to change or modify what we've done, to get to this point. Obviously the first day, St. Patrick's Day, we had the doors open, you could come in, place your order, I maybe wasn't educated enough on what was going on. And then now today, if you come in, it's masks, gloves, social distancing. But as far as the staff goes, we're now operating. I mean, it's still, less than 10 people is on our staff right now. And it's mostly kitchen labor. And then we have a couple people picking up the phones and taking orders. But as far as the staff that obviously we had to, I don't want to say we fired anyone or let anybody go, because, they're going to come back. Our goal is for everyone to come back, who's worked here. There's just, not hours for them right now on the schedule. So, we got them set up right away with, hey, get your unemployment filed, as quickly as you can. And some people were lucky enough to bang right away. They were in. Some people took some time, but I'm in constant contact with them. Pretty much everyone that filed for it is receiving the unemployment, as well as, that bonus $600 every week, which, it is another animal within itself, because some people, are actually doing better, from a weekly standpoint with that, which is, obviously, a good thing. But, the question is, when it's time to come back to work, where's that $600 going to fall, and for them to be as motivated to get back to work if and when, work becomes available.
So this kind of feels like a lifetime ago at this point, but myself and other folks from the village board, we tried to reach out to different business owners when we were anticipating that restaurants would have to move to takeout only. And I remember speaking with you, and you weren't so sure that that would work for your business. Like, have you been, tell us a little bit about, like, what have you learned about, how this has worked out for you?
Yeah, I mean, it's exceeded my expectations of what business would be, certainly. I mean, I remember it was, okay, we have all this St. Patrick's Day stuff, let's open that day, and then we'll look to the next day and decide if it's worth, being open. And, it has been positive. I mean, the community support has been tremendous. We're busy. Our operation now on Fridays and Saturday nights have, 3 guys in the kitchen. There's work to be done, but it was, I think, we're not built as a takeout place. We do takeout, but obviously that's not, our main, focus. And so we had to kind of, tweak our operation to be set up for that. And again, I cannot keep thanking Tommy I enough for his efforts and what he's done, and, how he's handled, his labor, kitchen guys' labor, and, making it able for us to be open and operational. But we've been busy. I mean, it's definitely been worth being open. And again, in the beginning, I was looking at, I was a numbers guy. So I was looking at, okay, here's, all these costs and and oh my God, how's this ever gonna, work out? And it's, fortunately enough, business has been there. And then also it's just been more, I think, too, about, just serving the community in a way as well, being there. I saw a post the other day, wow, it was nice to have a P&G's burger, it felt normal again, things like that. And so I think there's some positives that you can't really monetize, in this whole thing. But I guess I didn't see the whole picture of, okay, everybody's going to be closed, or be takeout only. And so people are still, people still want to eat out. They don't want to cook every night necessarily. And, I'm glad that we did decide to give it a shot and stay open. It's been positive for sure.
Got it. And you've been participating in the Ulster County Project Resilience initiative. Tell us how that's worked out for you. I mean, it's an interesting initiative because the goal is to try to support restaurants so they have some cash flow, as well as providing assistance to families who could maybe benefit from the additional food support during this harder time.
Yeah, so that program's been a home run. I mean, for us, we're doing about probably somewhere between 100 and 200 meals a week for them. It's usually 1 to 2 orders where they'll give you enough time heads up and say, we need 100 orders for this day. And they have kind of guidelines for what they're looking for meal wise. I mean, we've been doing a pretty standard, piece of grilled chicken, side of vegetables, side of rice, some barbecue sauce in there to give it some flavor, and try to keep it a healthy, balanced meal. And they're paying, obviously they're not necessarily paying the full price, but they're paying better than a price that you would do for that volume of meals. So the initiative to support the restaurants and feed people that are in need it has been such a bonus. And it's huge. I mean, it's nice to be able to, bang out that much business before you even open the doors in the morning. Has definitely been a key part in staying open, 7 days a week. I don't know, the New Paltz Community Foundation sort of is doing a similar, project where they're offering these vouchers out to families in need and individuals in need. And it kind of works the same way. It's all from donated money to the Community Foundation. And basically they can use these vouchers at any of the restaurants that are open, and the restaurants turn them in to the community and they write you a check for it. So it's kind of killing those 2 birds with 1 stone again, where people in need are getting the support to help them get a meal, and it's also supporting all the restaurants, in the area in New Paltz and Gardner, which I think is a great idea as well.
So, what is your day like now? Are you working in the restaurant full time?
I would say initially that was my role. I was in here, like I said, answering the phones, being involved in the operation. It's kind of switched now to more of just managing, the people as well as the operation. So, like I said, every day it almost seems like something new is happening, whether it's a new kind of policy that's in place or something. And it's kind of been working to make our schedule that's going to fit. I sat down with Tommy, I feel like every day, and we come up with a new schedule because something changes, or, there's, a need for more hours here and not here. And, obviously you're learning that people aren't taking out food as much on, a Tuesday lunch as they are on a Friday dinner, and just, kind of things that seem basic, but every week are changing. So I have kind of removed myself from the physical operation, and we were able to get some more staff in, some more hours. So we got a couple more girls working the counter and stuff like that, which I think is great. I mean, my goal is to get as many people working again as I can, that's feasible. I think that's going to long-term benefit, not only the staff, but, just from an economic standpoint as well. So that's sort of been my new role, is just, okay, how far can we go? What are our sales? What are we doing? Now, how can we, operate in, a way that's effective and a way that's, beneficial to everything as a whole.
And so that's how you're functioning right now with takeout only business model. Have you thought a bit about what your business will feel like once because it seems like the belief is, we're not going to turn a switch on and things will go back to normal. There'll probably be some sort of like phased in approach. Like, have you thought about what that might feel like at P&G's, like what you'll do, how you'll manage a phased in approach?
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of it is obviously unknown, and we're going to get, guidance and rules, and obviously things are going to come down, and it's going to be important to follow those. And I see a world where instead of a guy standing out front checking IDs, he's out there counting heads, or I don't know if there's a time where we might be taking temperatures for people coming in. I mean, there's so much unknown, but I think it's going to be a navigation of how do we, adapt to whatever it is. Again, like you said, it's not going to be okay, bars open one day, let it roll, but what is going to be allowed? What are we willing to, take on? Because obviously number one is safety, safety of our customers, our staff. I think that has to be priority number one through all this. And then, once you feel comfortable and again, with the supported guidelines, you're maintaining that, then what is your operation? Is it, is it maybe the bar isn't open, but the restaurant is, or, if the half capacity thing for us is sort of a strange concept, because our capacity being what it is, we could have every table full and be operating at half capacity. So that doesn't really fit, the idea of social distancing and things like that. So we talk about it, we're, every day it's like, okay, what information can we get and how can we implement it? And I think a lot of it, is just unknown right now.
So one thing that I think is interesting, different businesses, like including the village of New Paltz, like because of this pandemic, we've been forced to look at how we function differently. And we've actually identified some things that we've said, wow, this is probably a better way to handle, this task. Mm-hmm. And, even on the other side of the pandemic, we'll probably be doing things in a different way because we were forced to figure something out. Do you have any examples where you guys have looked at something a little bit differently that you think might help your business, even in a, a return?
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say that I have a blaring example that comes to mind right away, but I think the general conversation here is that, being a social setting, and then social distancing being a, big concern right now, is that I think just as a general staff and community, there's going to be a little bit less of the, in your face type of hanging out. I think people are going to be, wary of, maybe we won't all crowd into this booth here. Maybe we'll only just, not add an extra couple people at the table, or, how they greet people even, I don't know, no one's shaking hands anymore. I don't know how long that would ever, take to come back. So I don't necessarily see anything from our operational standpoint that has hit us yet. I'm sure, when those phases you talked about kind of start the reopening process, we'll start to understand more of what our operation could look like in a, in a way that meets all the guidelines. But there's nothing currently that, comes to mind.
Got it. So I want to open it up to, the folks who have dialed in. Do we have any questions, comments, like other ideas that we want to bounce off of Mike? Teresa had her hand up.
Yes, I did. Sorry. Mike, thank you for that information. Doug and I are echoing a lot of, what you're saying and regards to everything you've said about employees and unemployment and the, PPI and all of that stuff. I have a question, and by the way, I think you're doing a great job. You are obviously, servicing the community right now, and you're absolutely right. A lot of people don't want to cook, present company included, and and are trying to support those that are still open, which is great. So Tim, I have a question for you, actually. So I've been trying to keep up with Governor Cuomo's, daily updates and all that. I have missed a few. But do you have any information? Obviously you're probably privy to a little bit more information than we are, as far as government, restrictions and things like that are concerned. I mean, do you foresee any sort of opening up of local businesses, by the summer, or by, we're coming up to, our season now, and I mean everybody's season, May, June, July, August. Do you see anything or have heard anything from the state that possibly, foresees a June, July, August opening, or have you heard nothing?
I don't have any guidance better than, anyone else who's listening to Cuomo's daily public calls. I would echo what the governor has been saying, and that anyone who thinks they know, what will happen when, doesn't know what they're talking about. I think it's really a day by day thing, and yeah, unfortunately, I don't have,
Okay.
I have my own guesses, but they're just guesses.
Okay.
What do you think, Teresa? Fall.
I know when we're opening. No, I have a question for Mike. Have you encountered any employees who don't want to come back to work and off of unemployment yet?
No, not directly. I mean, when this all happened, the first thing I said to everyone was, listen, if you don't want to come to work, if you feel unsafe, don't feel like, and it's mostly with our kitchen staff are the people that are, we're kind of relying on a little heavier now because, there's fewer of them and we're still operating, somewhat full time. So, there's plenty of, servers and bartenders and waitresses that, I have expressed and are willing to come in and work. So, there hasn't really been situations where I've needed someone to come back and have them said, no, A, because of the unemployment, or B, just because of safety. So I haven't reached that yet. I have with some employees seen, where there's scenarios where, it may be beneficial for them to work part-time. Because then they can, as long as they're making less than 500, they're still going to get that 600. And I've tried to do the best I can with some employees that are part-time to keep them at part-time levels in order for them to, maximize their benefit and try to get close to their whole, and stuff like that. But I don't think we've gotten busy enough to the point yet where those situations have arisen, but I definitely see them arising.
So we've run into the problem a little bit. We're a smaller staff and we did receive the PPP and we do need to bring people back on payroll, and we could honestly use the help because we've just been working with a skeleton crew more, it's just Matt, my business partner, and the chef, and that was it. And and everyone's losing their minds. So we're happy to bring people in, but there are some, and we already have our full-time staff back in, but most of our waitresses and bartenders are part-time to begin with. So we do need them to come back part-time, but there's some that they're just so happy to be on employment, making more money than they did before this happened. And some of them have been clear, and they're admitting it's not about safety. Right. It's just about taking this time to sleep in and hang out, and it puts us in a bad position. We don't want to report them to unemployment, but we also need them back on.
Right, you don't want to be the bad guy, but from a standpoint, I think because you have the if you've gotten that PPP funding, my vision is, listen, like, I'm going to put you on payroll either way, because them being on the payroll, as long as you're not over reaching standards that you weren't previously. From what I understand of the PPP loan is that will be forgiven. So for you,
there's as you know, there's no guarantee on that.
There's no guarantee, but in those, that's kind of been that in my mind, that's how my conversations would go with them, is like, listen, like, for the business, and then that's what the whole point of the PPP loan is to get people, they want to get people off unemployment, back on the books. And so, you hate to sit there and say, listen, I don't want to be the bad guy, but I hear what you're saying. It's going to be tough decisions. And, I'm hoping I think that 600 thing is an 8-week thing. So what does that get you through May?
July, I think.
Is it that far? Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's July. Yeah.
So
I think it goes to mid-July, this extra $600.
Yeah, it's another unknown, but it's going to happen. It's going to happen all over. People are making twice as much as they were making now on unemployment. So
I know some of our people are making more than we're making in normal times. I'm not even kidding. Way more than I pay myself in normal times. And of course they don't want to come back. I mean, but I'm saying come back a day. Help us out. If you want to clean, we need help with things. We need help with bringing food out to cars, things like that.
Advice that I was given, which again, do with it what you want, is to say to them, listen, you're part of our staff, part of the family. you know, I need you in this time to come back for this. If they're coming back part-time, they're still going to be able to access, you know, a piece of that, and then say, listen, that will solidify that you're going to have a job here when we reopen. You know, unfortunately, if you're not willing to come back, you know, now when I need you, I may need to find someone else, and that may mean there may not be a job for you when we come back. I mean, there's people out there that want to work, you know, that, you know, they're out there. So again, you don't want to be the bad person, but you know, and it's not that you're being bad. You're doing, you know, you're running your business. You're doing what is legally probably right and fair. You know, that was just an advice I got. So
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think keep in mind, from what I've heard, again, like everyone's saying, things are changing daily, but the PP, is it PPI or PPP? I've heard it referred to as both, PPP. That 75% of that amount that you get has to be used for payroll specifically. So you can only use 25% for other things, which a lot of them don't even include like paying health insurance and stuff like that. So just, be careful if you get it, what you spend it on.
If you think about it, I mean, for us, 75% of the loan we got, when we're paying that weekly in payroll, is as much as we do in our busiest week of the year.
Right.
And then now we're paying payroll taxes that are through the roof. So that extra money that was supposed to be for rent and utilities, half of that right there is going for payroll tax. It's like this quandary that you're in. It's not this magical thing, and we're all going to be worried that it's not going to be forgiven. 75% of that, and they're saying 90% of your employees that you had on February 15th. Now, for us, randomly, we had 2 people leave the week after February 15th. They moved out of the area, not because of COVID. So how are they going to look at that? Now, do we have to bring back 9 people, even though we only had 9 on staff, or do we bring back 7 people? It gets confusing.
Yeah.
And no one can give you an answer. They're all saying we can't put that in writing, and we don't know.
Wait, I'm sorry I joined late, but I have been worrying about exactly this. It looks like maybe I've gotten the PPP for one of the businesses, not finalized, but I am worried that some of my employees are making more with the extra unemployment.
They are. They're
working.
making more.
I'm worried that they're going to be like, no, I'm not going to work.
Some of them are not going to want to work.
Oh, stressing out about it.
Well, we did tell one of our employees that we'll report her. I mean, just came to that. I'm like, we need you 1 day a week. You're still going to get your unemployment because we're only bringing you back part-time.
Yeah.
But you're a full-time employee. We're not asking her to come back full-time. Just give us 1 day.
Yeah.
Another one's immune compromised, and we 100% said, absolutely, we understand.
Well, they can get the other thing that's not the extra unemployment for that, right? I forgot what it's called, but yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I think it's a really weird position to put small businesses in, that if employees are making more than they would be working. It really sucks. But yeah, the thing that no one's talked to me about this yet, because I haven't talked to my employees about, you know, that putting them back on payroll because of the PPP and all that. I mean, the other thing too is that, you know, for like my businesses are open. I need people to work. And luckily a lot of people have been able to in these weird shifts where you do preps at night or whatever, so you can be alone. But I'm like, yeah, maybe you're making more on unemployment, but I know you just said this, but you need to have a job to come back to at the end of it. Oh, anyway, thanks.
It's mind-boggling, and it's upsetting, and it's tricky.
Yeah.
All right, so we're running up against the the half-hour mark for this conversation, but let's have one more question. If anyone has like a zinger for Mike, anyone want to ask a final question?
I just have a question on the Project Resilience, Mike. It sounds like you're getting pretty consistent orders. My name is Sharif, by the way. I'm from Convenient Deli. Mm-hmm. And unfortunate time for us to buy that business right before this all went down. But thank God things are still positive and things are going okay. But the Project Resilience is a great program that they put together, and we want to rely on it a little bit more. But they've just been extremely inconsistent with our orders. You know, 1 week it's 50, 1 week it's 100, 1 week it's nothing. Yeah, actually several weeks it's been nothing. It sounds like you're getting consistent orders with them. Is there?
I wouldn't necessarily say it's consistent. Like, each week has definitely been different. I usually, I hear on Sundays, is usually when I get an email from Nick has kind of been the guy that's been contacting me, and that sort of outlines my week.
Yeah.
So I know, what I need to order on Monday to kind of get us through the week. But it hasn't been a consistent thing. It has been, some weeks different than others, for sure. But I don't know. I think the important thing that I don't know how. I think maybe Teresa could actually talk a little bit more about this. I think she's on the committee or something, but I just kind of stuck to the guidelines that they were looking for and sort of just been doing what they've asked. But maybe Teresa has something.
Sharif, was it you I spoke with or your brother yesterday?
Yeah, we spoke yesterday.
Yeah. I mean, it's they swear at the county level that they're doing it in the most fair way possible. The thing is that new restaurants do come in every week. New people sign up, and then new recipients sign up as well. So they can't do it too far in advance, unfortunately. I also find out on Sundays. And then when I ask them, it seemed pretty much like it goes into the system and then it comes up and they're dispersing them as fairly as possible. My advice to you is email Nick and just say, can we get more of a consistent schedule? Because I'm seeing pretty much the same people every week, but every week there's new people. So, but it's, usually pick up from P&G's, Shotzi's, Ligustas, and it can be random. But you have to keep in mind they're also going to Plattekill and Kingston and Gardner. So P&G's might have one going out to Gardner, so I may not see them that week.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks, guys. Thanks for sharing too, Mike. That was great.
Absolutely.
All right, well, we're gonna wrap this up, but thanks again, Mike, for sharing thoughts with us, and we'll be back next Thursday, and hopefully not too many more of these to answer Teresa's question, right? The goal is to get on the other side of this.
Yeah.
All right, everyone, thanks.
Oh, Tim, thank you. And also, could we do this again? I've just found this immensely helpful.
Every Thursday.
Yeah, we're doing it Thursday at 3.
I've been around. I mean, I've been around, but I haven't been logged on. So every Thursday, it's about local downtown businesses or local businesses, I should say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And,
So it's everybody. Okay. So it's
and so in addition, this is being recorded, and then this lives as a permanent link on YouTube through the Village's YouTube channel. So I'll circulate that just so you have that as well. Then you could look at the other conversations that we had previously.
Oh, good. Thank you.
Something about that super quick. I wasn't aware of that, and which it's fine, but just so everyone knows, like I saw there was a quote for me in the paper from Terrence, and I was like, oh, good to know. So I mean, yeah, it's just a good thing for me to keep in mind. Yeah.
Yeah, I thought that was interesting, and I'm sure the newspaper is watching this discussion live on YouTube now. But I thought that was also interesting, is that the conversation that we had last Thursday turned into an article in Hudson Valley One. And it didn't even reference that it was a Zoom call. It was just like as if the reporter was talking to me. So, I guess that's the age we live in, is that everything we do online is just public domain. I don't know.
I think it could be interesting to have a forum for business owners to talk amongst themselves.
Yeah.
That's a great idea.
Yeah.
Right. So that's another. So what we've done with this is that only business owners have the password to participate live. We were doing that in the beginning, where it was a conversation with just business owners, but we thought, focusing on an individual business might be an interesting way of approaching topics, and then sharing it with the public to also just, any community members who might be interested in keeping tabs on what we're doing as a broader community. So we're trying to do a few different things with this call. I mean, if we wanted to have another Zoom call with, just businesses where it's strictly private, that would be a different thing. And if anyone wants to take the reins on that, I recommend they go ahead and try it out.
I mean, I have an unlimited Zoom account, and I know David has a lot of the downtown business owners' email addresses, right, David? I'm pretty sure you're on mute. So we could certainly, you're on mute, David.
I was saying, I believe Tim used that list to send to this, isn't that right?
Oh, okay. So
Yeah,
can-
we have like 140 people on this list to get the invites for the
Oh,
Zoom call.
okay. So I'm saying if everybody wants to do something private, we can certainly arrange that.
We could try it out.
Yeah. And just talk amongst ourselves, because there really is a lot to talk about as this goes on and is ever evolving. So, you know.
Yeah, with that being said too, I mean, anyone can always reach out, personally to me here, you can get me at the restaurant or get my information, and don't hesitate, and it might be good to just keep dialogues between us as well as trying to meet every now and then. That it may be easier to just kind of, talk amongst us, but.
And
absolutely.
if anyone has questions about Project Resilience, you can get in touch with me.
Great.
I'll put my email in the chat right now.
Okay.
Okay. Thanks, everybody.
All right,
Thanks, Tim. Everybody stay well.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.